Hello, good evening, everybody. A hearty welcome to all the participants. So this time we have chosen a very interesting topic on how to write quality technical papers, because we have seen that all our student members are good at writing papers, but they end up by doing just a conference paper. They don't try to convert that conference papers into quality journal papers. And many of the faculty who are now in service, they are in need of papers which are to be published in SCI indexed or IEEE transactions like journals. So we wanted to have a good introduction to how to make your papers done in a manner that it can be published in quality journals. So this is one step ahead in that direction, and we have got a very good expert also to talk to you in this regard. Dr. Vincent is currently with RIT Kottayam, Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology Kottayam. He is a real fundamental person to talk to you. Right now, he is not uh, going into his field of power electronics, but he will be telling us how to convert our publishable data to a real quality technical article. And I hope all of you gain advantage by listening to him. Looking forward to the words from Vincent. I welcome Vincent, Dr. Vincent, to present the session. Hello, Dr.
Very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I'd like to thank the joint chapter office bearers for having given me the opportunity to make a presentation on writing quality technical papers. I wish to tell also one thing that this is a conventional sort of technical paper. I wish to share more from my personal experiences because when I wrote my first paper, I had no inputs. There were no uh, talks available in the internet where I could listen to. There was none to teach me. So I primarily learned from my failures and successes. So this is more of my personal experience. And also, I don't know, there is nearly an hour before me, and how to communicate this to an audience where you have undergraduate students, graduate students, and also research scholars, faculty, everybody. So it's a Herculean task for me, and I'll try my best to meet the needs of all the types of the participants. Okay, so we start here. So what we are going to do is we'll have a short introduction about paper writing. Then we'll talk about the types of technical articles briefly, and we would major on the content writing and the different sections you have to write in a paper, and finally a short mention, a brief mention on plagiarism. First thing I would like to remind is paper writing is both an art and a science. It involves both subjectivity and objectivity. The same objective truths, when different people write, the feel of the paper is different. Sometimes the same material, when somebody presents it, you feel that, oh, I wish to read it. But at times you may feel quite bored, saying that, no, I don't want to read it. So there is a skill of the writer that he tries to present the same material in such a way that it becomes easy to understand, to comprehend, and also to appreciate it. And this skill we can improve by writing. The more we write, we learn better how to write. There is an objectivity part also. Writing is also a science. I'm not talking about the science and technology aspect. Of course, we are writing technical stuff, but the science in the sense that some rules have to be followed while writing the paper. Some rules may be general rules or may be specific to the journal that you are trying to give your paper to. What type of materials could you send for publishing? It should have some archival value. BTech students, I wish to remind you that unlike your seminar, it's not like a seminar paper you present to material from different sources and put it. No. Conferences and especially journals, there should be something new. The new may be a small delta X maybe. It could be a concept, result, or method, or it might be a result already available which you are trying to refine or reinterpret, or maybe in an area you are going to prepare a review topic, you review paper where you collect all the materials and you give a thorough comparison of that. At the same time, I wish to remind you that if you want to write quality papers, you should read quality papers. Just like if you want to prepare a good biryani, you should first taste good biryani. Rather than going to some place and getting some biryani, get wonderfully made biryanis by wonderful chefs. So make it a habit to read quality papers that will help you to make or prepare quality papers. And a lot of hard work is involved. I remember the first time I wrote, it took months together. It is not an easy job. You have to work hard. And also, I wish to remind you that when the work is ready, to which conference or journal you are going to send is an important question. Next slide, I would like to briefly talk to you about the types of technical articles. The magazines are society magazines, whether it is Industry Application Society or maybe Industry Powertronics Society. All these societies have their magazines or newsletters. So they won't be, very hi-fi articles, but they would be articles which even laymen could understand. So this is the least type of the lowest cadre you could say, or the simple ones that you could talk about. The next category is conference, and on the top you have the journals. In the conferences, we, when the call for comes, would go there and present our papers. And the stuff what you present is research finding which is in progress. You have got something and you want to present it. Sometimes it will be an oral presentation or a poster presentation. Though people think that oral is more valued than poster, there is nothing like that. If you are going there and presenting, your paper would come in the proceedings of the conference. At the next level, you have the journals. The journals, you have two category of papers. One is the regular paper. Other one is the letter. Regular paper is maybe 8 to 10 pages. Letter is a short communication. It may be 4 pages, 3 pages, or 2 pages. But there's a difference. Regular paper, usually it's a completed research work. Thoroughly, you have backed it with sometimes maybe mathematical backing or simulation, experimental, all those you have put. Whereas in conferences, you need not necessarily have hardware and experimental. You have well and good. Simulation also is sufficient, but many times in journals they may look for, depending on the area of your work, let us say if it is powertronics, you would require, definitely require hardware also, experimental results also for paper. Whereas letters are short communications. That means you come across some wonderful idea, something really novel, and you have not fully worked into it. You can put your ideas in a letter and send. Now the journals, on the top you have the IEEE journals and also IET journals. So then you have the Elsevier. IEEE is, USA. IET is again UK, which is also formerly it was called IEE. Now it is called IET. Elsevier and Science Direct. Usually the research community puts these three on the top. IEEE and IET. These papers are available in the IEEE Explore. They are rated to be the best. And especially IEEE transactions. Wow, that's really great. If you are able to get a paper in IEEE transactions, it is a dream come true. Many people long for that, and that would be really great. I wish all the participants that be able to publish one paper in the, at least one in the IEEE transaction. But this also maybe goes along with that, or maybe at least in the next level. Then comes Elsevier, the Science Direct. Then you have so many other publishers, Taylor and Francis, Acta Press, InterScience Publishers, InterScience Publishers, and many more, many more. Nowadays you have a lot of paid journals also. Value would come down as we go ahead. Just because it is paid need not be necessary that it is of low quality, because nowadays IEEE also has some journals. But usually paid journals may not be accepted on par with the other journals. So if I just try to show you here, see, this is the magazine, Industry Applications Magazine. That is the first type we said. And the second one is the prestigious transactions, IEEE transactions on industry applications. And this is an example of a journal, again, which IEEE has, maybe it is by the Solid State Circuit Society, Journal of Solid State and Circuits. So IEEE transactions and journals are rated on the top. So when you wish to send your paper, the thing you have to do is to weigh your paper. And many times the guide or your doctoral committee will help you to weigh your work. Because if you overestimate your work and you send to a top rated journal, after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you would know that your paper is rejected and you will have so much of time wasted. Similarly, if you underrate your paper and send it to a lower profile journal, that's a big loss. So it's important that you weigh your work properly and send it, and you will definitely require the help of somebody, especially your supervisor or somebody, for that. And I would like to suggest you that the help of such experts would be of much value, because they will give you some tips. For example, let me tell one or two. All these societies, IEEE societies, they come up with special issue on a particular topic. Getting a paper in a special issue is easier than getting a paper in a transaction. So wait for, or always keep on searching whether any special issue is coming up. If it is there, definitely try that, because it's the acceptance ratio is more in a special issue. Similarly, another tip, if I tell you, Industry Application Society has its transactions. Entry to IAS journal is always through IAS conference. It is not so for many other journals. For example, if you have, let us say, power system transactions, you have to directly apply there. Power electronics, you have to directly apply there. But IAS transactions, the entry is only through conferences. That means first you should apply in an IAS conference, and if your paper is accepted, out of those papers which are presented in the conference, they would be eligible for consideration in IAS journal. So these are things that we learn by experience. I didn't know that earlier, but as I spent months and years in research, I came to know that. So what I'm trying to say is that always seek the help of your supervisor and your doctoral committee. Will definitely give you an idea. Similarly, there is something called as acceptance ratio. I shouldn't tell that way, but some papers, some journals, the rejection rate is higher. For some, it may not be necessarily so. Okay, we go ahead. Now we are coming to the content that you are going to write in a paper. This is like a story. You have your own story and you are going to present it to the world. The best way you present it, the better you present it, the chances of acceptance is higher. So, what you ought to do is when you write, the writing should be clear, concise, comprehensive, and correct. There should be clarity in thought. That means when you write it, because you know the stuff, you will understand it, but a third party, when he reads, whether it is clear for him. Then you see two terms with opposite meanings, concise on one hand and comprehensive on the other hand. That means all that needs to be said has to be put in the paper, but at the same time, as concisely as possible. That's why I said that this paper writing is an art. This is an art. You have to work upon it. You have to work hard, and you have to, as you do more of paper writing, you learn how to write comprehensively at the same time, concisely, and also correctly. This is a famous quote, beautiful quote. I liked it. Let the reader find he cannot afford to omit any line of your paper because you have omitted every word that he can spare. Let the reader find that he cannot afford to omit any line of your paper because you have omitted every word that he can spare. That means paper writing is an iterative job. We'll talk about that again later. You write the script, you again rewrite it, correct it, rewrite it. It may take maybe, if you are an experienced writer, you may correct it 4 times, 5 times. And if you are a beginner, I don't know. I don't know how many times. Is it 10 times, 12 times, 15 times? That means every iteration you try to cut out things which you feel is unnecessary. And you try to include some connecting words between the lines because to improve the clarity. The story is yours. And the reader may not feel like reading your article. I would say it is your duty to make the reader feel that it is so interesting and attractive that I want to read it. It is our job. It's the job of the author. Don't think that the reader is the researcher, let him work hard and find out. No, no, no. When I write a paper, I have to think that it is my duty, it's my job to make the reader read this. So I have to work upon it reiteratively to see that I have not written anything extra and nothing less also. Because 8 pages of a journal page, it's very precious. You cannot write junk there. You cannot write things which are very well accepted facts. It's not a textbook, it's not a seminar where the known things are written. The space is precious. You cannot afford to write unnecessary stuff. If you write that, the reviewer of the paper will feel that, oh, he has written already known things. So let us never do that mistake. The language. Should we be experts in English? No. But if the grammar is very poor, the paper may not be through. But I repeat the point that we are not native English speakers, so we need not be very experts, we need not be experts in the language, but we should have a common sense of that. We cannot make grammatical mistakes. We need not write as if you are writing a literary piece of work. You need not use flowery words. You simple words, but the grammar should be correct. Use the right vocabulary. The voice of the language is important. The voice of the language, whether it is active voice or passive voice. Many people try to write, use active voice. I have done this experiment. No, never. It should be passive voice. The experiment is done. I found the results. No, the results are obtained. What is the tense that you use? Rarely do you use past tense. So it is true that the experiment was done 5 months ago. You will not write, I did this, the experiment was done. No, was is never used. It is present tense or maybe present perfect or things like that. At times, when you come to conclusion, maybe you can bring in past tense if you want. That too, many people don't do that. So tense is usually present or present perfect. So that's what I said that read as many papers as possible. The more you read, you will learn that. Now, if I show this is a paper from the industrial electronics. Industrial electronics on IEEE transactions on industrial electronics. One. See, this is volume 52. That means it has been running for 52 years. Getting a paper in this is indeed a dream come true. Okay, so you see here how it starts. This paper proposes, it is present tense. In the literature review, this comes. A few methods have been proposed, but rarely would you say methods were proposed. No, were proposed, we won't say, have been proposed. We will come to this again after some time. Next very important thing is the formatting. I said that there are some scientific issues. It's not the science and technology, but the rules to be followed. Every journal has its own formatting. What font size? What should be the font size? We cannot decide. The journal has already a font size they have prescribed. We have to follow that. The size of uh, yeah, font type and font size, whether it is bold, whether it is italics, whether it is capital letters, all those things cannot be decided by us, but the channel will decide. We have to follow them. So usually we have an IEEE paper template available in the internet. You can simply type IEEE paper template, you download it, and if you feed it, if it's a Word document, if you feed it into those, uh, it will automatically get adjusted. The font, type of letters, everything would be naturally set if you IEEE template and type into it, rather than always checking whether the size is 10, whether it is Times New Roman or Calibro, whatever it is. So use the IEEE paper template, you will save a lot of time. The style, all those things have to be decided. That's really important. The logical flow of thought. See, you are telling a story. This is your story. Your story you are telling, and just imagine, right from childhood we heard stories. In the story of the crow, picking stones and putting into the pot. Just imagine you change the sequence. The first step is that the crow comes and puts stones into the pot. Then the crow finds that there is no water in it. How it would be? I've heard about a story. I'll just tell a just for in a lighter sense. I would say there was a cola company in the Gulf. So the company was doing very bad. So they recruited a graduate, management graduate from the one of the leading institutes in the world. Excellent MBA graduate. He came. He came to boost the sale of cola in the Gulf. But the problem was that when he came from America and he didn't know the people of the Gulf. He didn't know the Arabic language or anything. So he was thinking about how to advertise his cola. And finally, he came with a brilliant idea because he didn't know the language. It was a pictorial representation. He came up with this particular idea. He just shows three pictures. The first picture, this man is lying exhausted in the desert, not able to get up, exhausted. The next step, he drinks the cola, and the third step, he gets rejuvenated, revived. He jumps and runs to his home through the desert. This is the story. This is the advertisement. He said, I have a brilliant idea. I'm going to publish it. All the newspapers, leading newspapers, had it. And unfortunately, the next day, the cola company sale dipped further to its lowest point. Later only, this MBA graduate from a leading institute in the world understood that not only that he didn't know how to read Arabic, he didn't know that the Arabs read not from left to right, but from right to left. I hope you understood it. Sequence matters. Suppose the audience is reading these three pictures from right to left. The message is totally distorted. So coming back to the point, logical flow of thought is very important. Now let me tell you, see, as I was telling, I'm telling from my experiences. I've heard much of the talks available in the internet, and also when I started writing, none of these things were available. So I learned from my failures and successes. So what I do is, I want to write a paper. I scribble down all the thoughts that come to my mind. With regard to that paper, I just write down everything point wise. And later, what I do is, maybe some of the points I remove, I cut it off. Then what I do is, I try to sequence them. Maybe I find that the sixth point should come as the first point. I put one. Then I see that the 20th point should come as the second point. I put that 20. Then I see that second point should come as the third point. So after scribbling everything, I work upon it. I sequence them. I divide it into sections. We will come to that later, which will go to the introduction, which will go to the main body, all those things. But the point is, writing paper is not an easy job in the sense that you think you sit 2 3 hours and do it, it will never be of good quality. You may have to rewrite many iterations. Hard work is involved. So logical flow of thought. So you change the sequence. Then what you do is you find that you have changed the sequence, but the first line to second line there is no connection. Then maybe I'll add the connecting word. I said the first thing, then I say that therefore, second. So the missing links I will fill. So a logical flow of thought so that a third person who has never read of your work or heard about your work is reading for the first time, and as he reads, he will feel a flow and he'll be able to understand it. That's why I said it's an iterative process. Next, we'll come to the sections involved in the paper. The paper has got many sections. These are the important sections. The first what comes is the abstract. Then you have the introduction, the work done, results and discussion, conclusions, acknowledgements, references. But mind you, never write the paper in this sequence. Never write this paper in this sequence. Don't write the abstract first. Abstract written in the end. Sequence of writing, the first thing to be done is, so as you see here, the list is abstract, introduction, then the main body is work done, results, discussion. These three constitute the main body. Work done, discussion. So the first thing to write is these three. So work done, results, and discussion. Next, you write the second one, introduction and conclusion. So that is the second one to be written. Then you write the abstract title. The last thing to do is to write the abstract and title. We will come to these sections one by one. First, the title. Title has to be really catchy because it reveals the work. So how do you form frame title? After you have written the body of the paper, then you sit and scribble the keywords, what you feel should come in the title. Write down the keywords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the possible keywords which you feel are important. And then try to connect them together. You will feel that some keywords are not very essential, you will take them away. And using permutation combination, you will write many titles possible using the important keywords. Using the very essential ones you will write, and lesser, more, which are not as essential as them, including them, you write the frame the titles. So you would have framed, let us say, 6 to 7 titles. Again, work upon it. Iterative process to find which is the best one, which is more attractive, which is more catchy. It should not be repeated. Somebody else used your title. You should have to look at it. You may take the help of the supervisor, maybe other. Am I audible? Messages saying that it's not audible.
Yeah, for a few minutes, for around 4 minutes, you were not audible at all.
So should I repeat that?
Yeah, yeah. You please repeat, starting from the title.
Okay, from the title. Okay,
Explain.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Title we were
Yeah.
explaining, and then it was lost.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so the title, as I said, the title and the abstract are the most important part of the paper as far as a person who is searching for a paper. A person who is trying to look at your paper is not directly going to read the main body of the paper. They'll read the title first and the abstract. So the title should reveal the work. So as I already said, I'm repeating for those who missed the that portion. Scribble down the keywords. All the words you feel are important, scribble down 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And using them with many permutation combinations, you try to frame titles and to see which one is communicating the crux of the paper and which one is interesting and attractive. So based on that, you, with the help of maybe the supervisor or some other expert, you can decide on the title. Abstract is so important that people will read that. So it's a mini summary. It has to be clear. It has to be concise. Just one para. You cannot have two paras there, as far as IEEE is concerned. And the word limit is usually 50 words, or please go through the instructions to the authors for each. Now, the content of the abstract is what is done, what are the results, what are the attractive features. Now, I'm going to this particular paper, as I said, it is a paper from IIC Bangalore, a good one to refer. See here, this is the abstract. This is the abstract, one paragraph. The abstract starts with a line, this paper proposes dash dash dash. One line, the reader will know what is the content of the paper in the first line. This paper proposes, not the tense used, the voice used. This paper proposes. And the last line usually is the testing and validation. The control algorithm is tested and found. So the last line is usually that. The proposed idea has been validated by extensive simulation and hardware results. So the first line would be in one line, the paper proposes dash dash dash. The last line would be the proposed dash works well. It's validated. What you say, what is the logic of this proposal? So you will say what is done in the first line and how it is done. Maybe you can take 2 lines or 3 lines how it is done. What are the results obtained? And don't forget to tell its attractive features. Let us say the proposed algorithm is very simple, or you can say the simplicity of the algorithm is a key feature. So the attractive features have to be projected. So the abstract paragraph will have first line, what is the work? The last line, the validation. In between, you do to say how the work is done and what are the results and what are the attractive features that you want to project to the world, saying that your method is really wonderful. So that is what comes in abstract. Next comes the keywords. Keywords, important sense. Usually when you search for a paper, the search is done using the title, the abstract, and the index terms. These index terms are the keywords what I meant. Index terms. So usually 4 or 5 index terms have to be put there suitably so that people who search your paper will be able to find your paper. So use the right word so that your paper is found by the search engine, by the people who are searching for the paper. Introduction. Next section. That is the first section, in fact. The paper begins with introduction, not with abstract. Abstract is not the first part of the paper. That is separate category. Your paper starts with introduction. So don't think that you have already mentioned something in the abstract. You are starting the paper with introduction. And introduction people read to know whether they should read your paper or not. So in other words, it is how well you sell your paper. That means how well you set the stage for the paper, how well you set the relevance of the problem you are addressing. You should convince the reader that this problem is a million dollar problem. And you should convince the people from the literature review that this is what such and such author has done. Don't forget to mention the lacuna of that paper, those papers of the literature review. If you simply write the literature review saying that such and such has done this work in this method, it is of no use. You have to say that such and such did this work, but that paper has this problem. This paper is mentioned in dash, which is facing this problem, disadvantage. So unless you set the stage for your work, you need not present your work. That is the idea. You should tell the reader that, see, whatever work has gone before, maybe they are all good works, but they all have some. And in this work, I'm going to address those problems. So the problem definition will be there. The introduction may have 3 paragraphs or 4 or 5, not more. To 5. Now I have taken a case where you have 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is an eye-catching introduction, where you introduce the broad subject. You say that this is a really an important area. Then the second and third paragraph would be the literature review. You would say which person has done that. You will quote the papers and you will highlight the shortcomings. Don't forget, highlight the shortcomings. Without shortcomings, you cannot set the stage for your work. People will say, well, papers in the literature are wonderful ones. Why should we read your work? So the shortcomings of the previous papers are the last fourth paragraph will be your about your work. Where you again try to convince the reader that I have addressed all the problems mentioned earlier. Whatever has been discussed in the literature, I have tried to address it and I have a solution there. Maybe many of the words or sentences in the abstract would find place in this paragraph. It should not be a ditto verbatim copy, but you should rephrase it and put it appropriately. Some people have the optional last paragraph, fifth paragraph, where they say the section division. That means section 2 describes about dash dash. Dash dash is explained in section 3, 4. I'm at this paper of wonderful late V. Ramanarayanan of IIC Bangalore. See how he has put the paper. This is the first paragraph of the paper where he talks about, he introduces the broad area. Then he introduces about this is the second paragraph where he refers another method proposed in 7. This dash dash dash. The method proposed in 8 is complex. He's highlighting the problem there. It achieves reduction instead of elimination. So he is highlighting the problems. The third paragraph is the paragraph of the author. In this paper, dash and dash is proposed. See, it looks like the abstract. In this paper, dash dash is proposed. The control objective dash dash, again he now explains it. He tells about the good things of the paper. And here he has included the last para, which is really optional, where you can say what is given in section 2, what is given in section 3, section 4. You should break the monotony. You should not always say dash dash is given in section 2, dash dash in section 3, dash dash in section 5. But if you say dash dash is given in section 2, next line you start saying section 2 describes dash dash. So that you break the monotony, so that the paper looks more attractive. Coming to the next section is the main body. It can have many sections. It will have the work done, the results, the analysis, discussion, everything will come here. So you have to divide your main work into different sections. It can be 2 sections, 4 sections, depending on your work. So if I propose one method, you can say, let us say, one section is about your proposed. Another section essentially will definitely have the simulation results using that. Third section is the experimental result, bare minimum. Your concept, algorithm that you have proposed will come there. You can have it as one section or two, depending on the quantum and the particular case. Maybe you may have the qualitative analysis of your work in one section, quantitative in another. In one section, you can give the mathematical analysis. So, depending on your case, you explain the work. Then you explain the simulation or experimental or both. Then you should give analysis and discussion. All these things will come. So, divide it into sections and give appropriate section titles. Technical description, mathematical analysis, simulation, experimental, all those things. Because time is very short, actually, I have compressed it like anything. Maybe 2-3 hours would have done justice. I know I'm not doing justice, I'm rushing through. Tables and figures. You cannot place the table figures anywhere you want. IEEE always insists that the table and figure should be either on the top of the page or bottom of the page. See, this is the beginning of the page. Top of the page you have. Books you can have a figure in between the text. But in IEEE papers, never ever would you put diagrams, figures, tables in between the text. Either it is on the top or bottom, preferably on the top. Now here you see, you have this figure on the top, followed by another figure again on the top. And bottom, you don't have any figure. Then again, next page, top you have the figure. Tables, all things are coming together. See, they all came together. Next page, again you see that. This is the table. How you label a table, how you label a figure is important. All the figures need to be labeled at the bottom of the figure. Figure 6. Below the figure you write fig dot 6 dot. Every decimal, every comma is important. You cannot have your own way. If you want to publish in IEEE, follow their pattern. You don't say, you don't tell any logic. They want fig dot, put fig dot. 6 dot, don't say that an end of sentence or anything. They want it, put it so. Whereas tables title should always be on the top. Table 2, title of the table. And this is how it is put there. See, this is the type of font, capital letters, and table 2 is in Roman. And see this type of font, if you are using the template, you can do it wonderfully. See, if you observe here, this V is font size is bigger than the rest. So this is another particular font, so you can choose there. These tables and figures should be referred inside the text, and always the general rule is first refer in the text and then have the figure or table. That means as you go ahead, first the table should not come. First the reference of the table in the text should come, then the table should come. First the figure should not come, first the reference of the figure in the text should come, and then the figure should come as far as possible. May not be possible always, but as far as possible. That is about the figure and tables. The figure should be legible and clear. Unfortunately, many times, in many papers which I have reviewed, even for transactions, I've seen that paper, the figures are not clear. Writing is not legible. See, now look here, this figure is really clear. This figure is clear. To see the axis, see all these are really clear. And also I wish to tell you that And the figure, let us say, this is how you usually write a notation. AV1. V1 is the suffix. If you don't put the suffix, it looks very odd. V1 is the suffix. So 1 is AV is in italics, but 1 is not in italics. All variables are put in italics, but constants are not put in italics. If I show you an example, maybe this figure here they have put wrongly. See, this is a mistake. AV2, AV has to be italics, but 2 is a fixed number, constant. It should come as not italic, normal digit. Okay. Now coming to the equations. Equations, don't type the equations as you feel. It should be done using a proper editor. These are all equation editors. If you type in them, all these would be taken care automatically. That means this equation would come, then you will have the number of the equation with brackets. So use equation editors, and for figures, don't put your MATLAB output as such into the figure. Use some figure processing tool, let us say Visio, where you have the control of every digit or every letter. Even a 1 millimeter, you will be able to move it as you wish. Size, the shape, everything is in your control. So you have to use a figure processing software and not the MATLAB's conventional figure that you get. You cannot put it in a journal paper. My time is running up, so I am hurrying. So finally, you have the conclusions where you sum up what has been said so far. It is again a sort of, a replica of the abstract, but, with appropriate changes. As you read many papers, you will know how things are. Acknowledgements you give if required. If you have a funding agency or some people have helped you, who is not an author of the paper, if they have helped you, you can write their names also. References, different types of referencing systems are available in the world. The first one is numeric, Harvard system, footnote system. IEEE uses numeric system where inside the text you use square brackets and you write 4. This 4 is the fourth reference used at the end. We don't, IEEE doesn't use Harvard system where the name of the author and the publishing date is included in the text itself. And the backside, they will name the papers alphabetically in the names of using the names of the authors. Footnote system is again used by some journals where you put your reference is included in the footnote, the below, and it's not, my time is running up, so running out, so I'm just rushing. Okay. I wish to just talk to you about the plagiarism. Before that, just let us just have a look at this paper once more. See how the title has been framed. This is a bit long title. Usually, this may be in upper limit. Maybe 4 lines also there are papers, but try to keep your paper as crisp as possible. The keywords are put, and the case used is title case. That means the first letter of every word is capital letter. This is called title case. But you see that to, the, of, a are not title case because only words with more than 3 letters should be put in title case. So a 3-lettered word is written as such. A 4-lettered word wire will have W as capital. So how the title is mentioned. Mm, well, sections, so many things to say. I'm rushing. Just as we come down, see the experimental part, if I say, results. See, the proposed controller is simulated. Simulation would have been done maybe 4 months back. You won't say that the simulation was done. It is simulated. I have already mentioned that. You look at variables, italics, subscript, everything. Beautifully written. See, the figures are all legible, very clear. See the title, section titles. The first letter is having a more font size. Results. Then this is the conclusion. Conclusion. See, this paper has proposed maybe a small change in tense if you want. Has proposed. Okay. Then look at the references. You cannot write the references the way you want. It has to be in this format. This is a conference paper, APEC, IEEE APEC proceedings, S dot Haiti. So the name of the person is S Haiti. So it S dot. We have no option. We have to follow that. And P dot Boroyevich. Many times, if you look at the name board written many places, for example, if you write your name, Rajesh S. Kumar, how people will write Rajesh dot S dot Kumar. Dot is as if to separate the initial from the word. No, the dot is so that it is abbreviated. So if your name is Rajesh S, it will be Rajesh space S dot. If your name is Rajesh S. Kumar, Rajesh space S dot space Kumar. So dot means abbreviation. So, but in our real life, we always see that 95% cases is written wrongly. So you have to follow this format. See the if you are mentioning IEEE transactions, it is in italics. So I would say that if you want to write these references, 10 references, for typing it, you may require, let us say, 10 to 15 minutes. And to bring it to the right format, you may require at least an hour. See how much time consuming it is. So I would suggest two things. Either go to the template and feed into it, you can save time. Or you use not the Word, Microsoft Word, but you use LaTeX, where already the formats are inbuilt. So using LaTeX is very comfortable. Suppose you take out the seventh reference, the text you have to reorder, it will all happen automatically if you are using LaTeX. So my time is almost up, but again we started 6, 7 minutes later. So I'm just trying to come to my last slide on plagiarism. Plagiarism talks about the ethical values in writing. That means you cannot go to the house of your friend, sit in his drawing room, see a wonderful piece of art in his shelf, showcase, put it into your pocket without him noticing and come out. That is stealing. That is theft. That is burglary. You can do it in paper. Theft in paper is called as plagiarism. IEEE defines plagiarism as the reuse of someone else's prior processes, results, or words without explicitly acknowledging the original author or source. That means you have stolen it and you have kept quiet. You have not told anybody that you have stolen. American Heritage Dictionary says plagiarize as to take and use as one's own writing or ideas of another. So stealing another's and putting as our own is something we should never do. Uh, and many a times, IEEE will make a hit list also of people, just like you have a list wanted. No, police department brings out a list of the wanted people. IEEE sometimes comes up with the list of the authors who are thieves, who are plagiarized. Let let us see that our names do not appear in that list on a lighter sense. Well, thank you, dears. I know that I have been rushing through because I have was trying to press it a 1 hour session of what I would have reasonably done if it was a 2 or 3 hour session. Thank you so much. If you have something to interact, maybe another 5 minutes, we can have interaction. Thank you so much for your patience.
Hello, questions?
You could type your queries. And
What
also,
software is good to draw diagrams or figures in a good quality journal?
Well, actually, my view is that Visio is really nice. Visio, Visio. That is what I have used. But nowadays, I am not sitting and drawing. Nowadays, many more new softwares have come. We do not know the names of the new ones. I have used Visio, and that's really excellent. Have absolute control over your figure. Every part and nook and corner of the figure is in your control. You can do a good job with that. Maybe other softwares are also available.
can we download IEEE template in LaTeX?
It is
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That was the question.
IEEE template is available in both Word format and LaTeX. Both both Word and
Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent. I think the participants have got complete inside view, and I think everyone, like I've been listening, even I feel so motivated that I do want to sit down and write a paper. So thanks a lot, and each and every nook and corner, and how to do also, like the depth of which that you have gone into the aspect of writing is one, and to hear from somebody who is actually
welcome, welcome. Thank you.
okay. And please do continue to interact also. We very much thank you all the participants for patiently listening.